Yeah.
No, you missed the cold open though. You missed
Yeah, I
that
know.
with the
Yeah, I
Busch
did.
Light. Damn.
Don't worry, I talk about Busch Light a lot. What? God, we have nothing to talk about tonight. Why are we even doing an episode?
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters.
Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Goldie Go Jake.
We got a couple news updates and rumors to go through, but then we didn't have anything else to talk about. So Dan ChatGPT'd some discussion topics, and they were actually kind of interesting. So we're going to talk about those.
ChatGPT is getting better because I think I tried this like 6 months ago and it gave us
They were
nothing
really
to talk
bad,
about. Yeah. So give credit to the developers. They are starting to hone in on, at least on my ChatGPT. I use it way too much.
Yeah. So a new update, or at least more data around the Uncle Nearest bankruptcy stuff. So Dan will pull up
Boom. If you're watching on YouTube, it's up.
a chart. This is from Whiskey Decision on Instagram. At least that's where me and Dan saw it. So this just kind of compiles all their debts in relation to their revenues. So as you can see,
It's not good. It's not good.
the little tiny bar over on the left is their revenues, and the big red bar is their debts on the right. So yeah, I mean, I think a couple episodes ago we had talked about how I think they were officially ruled insolvent, and then they were just trying to figure out, through the legal processes how, the money was going to kind of be recovered for all the different debtors. But yeah, it looks like it's a little bit worse than I think a lot of people thought.
A little bit's probably an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's estimated revenues. They don't have the exact figures, but this Whiskey Decision is basically saying their estimated revenues is less than $25 million. And the big thing is they got about $174 million in known debt. And 7 years of that's the $25 million is roughly 7 years of revenue.
Yeah.
That's not yearly revenue. That's revenue expected earned over the last 7 years, roughly.
Yeah. And going off the numbers, it's like, was that a third or a quarter of the debts are completely untied to like any assets too.
Yeah.
A 22 million in unpaid bills to suppliers and service providers is really bad. And then more borrowed money at $28 million on top of the $120 million in collateral backed loans.
And that 28 million is lenders, not suppliers. So that's not for any product. That's just bank loans, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, they're toast. We'll see how it pans out. I think all three of us still think that Jack is going to come in and scoop them up for pennies on the dollar.
That was my prediction to start 2026 is that Jack would buy them out this year. But like so I'm not an MBA. Jake, this is where I'll rely on your expertise. We'll finally get to use that once. But basically, it's going to be a difficult sell because they're going to need almost $60 million just to pay off other debts before they even get to the collateral-backed loans.
This is where, like, I don't really have much of a background or understanding in, like, bankruptcy, like, filings.
So you have an MBA. We finally get to use you for something, and you don't know jack shit about what we're talking about, Jake.
Hopefully,
Jesus.
with my MBA, I never have to file for bankruptcy. So, no, it's not something that I've ever dug into. But like, I mean, usually I think something along the lines of like an auction or like sell off to try and recoup as much of the debts as possible happens, and then like that money is dispersed across all of the debt holders, and there's some kind of hierarchy to how that gets dispersed, probably starting with the collateral backed loans and then going to suppliers and then the banks and then anybody else that's left. So I think that $4 million of payroll taxes, et cetera, I think they're going to get shafted for sure. So
that one doesn't look good. Banks usually get money before employees do somehow. I don't know why.
Yep.
Yeah, it will be interesting because, like, let's say someone like Jack would be looking at this. They're not going to give a crap about the real estate. They don't need a facility in Shelbyville. There's no reason for it. But at the end of the day, that's probably not even. Well, no, they actually have a good chunk of land. Gold Eagle Jake, didn't you say they had a good chunk of land or something?
No, I think
one of you guys.
Jake said that they had like farmland that they had owned, which was
I
one
had
of the only positives about their.
Yeah, I thought they had a sizable.
They do own.
Yeah, plot of land.
But yeah, you're right. Jack doesn't really need anything from Uncle Nearest except for the story and the labels. The plus side of this for Jack is that they do have a massive reach when it comes to sales. Like they already have all that in place, so they could, take this over and do some sales right off the bat with the label and the story. But yeah, they don't need, all these fancy bars that they have. They certainly don't need any of these unpaid bills and other additional debt that they're going to have to take on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they just let, the whole process play out and then maybe just buy the trademark, after the fact, so they don't need to pay for anything else. But I don't know. We'll see.
I'm sure
It's
that's
not a bad
what
idea.
They're probably thinking.
And we don't know if Jack is thinking this or not. This is just a
speculation.
Makes the most sense. And I predicted it, so we're gonna go with that's what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Because I'm Nostradamus wearing a boats and hose hat.
It's the only other thing in a similar vein, hearing rumors that Few Spirits in Chicago might be going through some kind of downsizing or closure. That's unconfirmed right now. We do know that their tasting room closed in 2022, I think.
It was a long time ago. Yeah, it was shortly after I think Heaven Hill bought them out.
It was when Heaven Hill bought them, because of the laws, they weren't considered a craft distillery anymore, which didn't allow them to operate a tasting room in Evanston. And this has been known, but it's just wild to me. Like, that's probably the only reason why, I mean, not the only reason, but a big reason why Few saw so much success is they did have a really cool spot in downtown Evanston. They would have live music. They had a nice little outdoor alley, good cocktails on site. So, to shut down, like, I really would love to pick someone's brain. I know they're part of a family of brands with Widow Jane and Tequila Ocho, and Blue Coat Gin. The Samson and Surrey line is really what they bought, which included Few. But I really would like to know, like, what the plan was from the start with Few Distillery. Like, I heard rumors they were going to use it to produce gin, and they certainly were doing a lot of different experimental things out of Few. So I don't know what the plan was, and if these rumors that they're going to be shutting down are true. I mean, you said you just read somewhere that Paul, the original founder, officially stepped away fully last month, which we knew he kind of took a back seat when the buyout happened. But there was just a lot. There was some changes going on with Few, and nobody really knew what those changes were and what the plan was. So,
Yeah.
And I don't know, it may not seem like big news, but that's the top selling or top producing and top selling brand in Illinois.
they do a lot of international sales.
Do they?
I remember talking to Paul when the original tariffs hit in like 2019 or 18, and he was talking about how much those hurt them because, like, I think he said half their business was overseas.
Oh, wow, that's surprising.
And he was like, I have no idea why, but people, in these, I can't remember the countries, but in these few countries just love it. So,
Few countries. Let's see what you did there. Yeah, I mean that's is big with seeing a big Illinois names possibly in the balance here.
Yeah.
But interesting enough. So we'll keep an eye on it. Never want to see distilleries close or go away, but especially local ones for a lot of our listeners. But I mean, it's one of those weird things though, because since 22, you really haven't been able to do anything at Few. Like they really haven't had a tasting room. They haven't done tours since the buyout. So, like we talk about distillery tourism is still doing really well, and I even know the last year I was at Whiskey Acres, the tourism there was still going up. We were still getting more and more, or they were still getting more and more tours. And I think that's what a lot of people like about the local craft distilleries is something to do on the weekend that's close and fun. But when Few doesn't even have that as an option, they kind of just get glossed over all of a sudden.
Yeah, what kind of sucks about that is it seems like that was like a city ordinance with Evanston, not necessarily.
yeah, Evanston's extremely strict.
No, they aren't.
So yeah, that's kind of lame.
They were
like one of the first cities in Illinois
dry until Few opened up, and I'm pretty sure Few had a lot to do with that.
I think they were one of the first cities in Illinois to ban gas engines for like lawn equipment, for string trimmers and stuff like that. Sounds like Evanston things. But
yeah, so if anybody knows anything about that, shoot us a DM. We'll keep it quiet on who provided us information.
will we?
Unless you want us to tell. I don't care.
Freaking Jay Glazer out there knows something about Few Distillery.
All right.
Yeah.
With that,
we're going to go to questions by our listeners, which is ChatGPT on this one, giving us a few discussion topics for the day. So we've kind of touched on some of these, but having an actual get our thoughts out there would seem fun. So, did the industry overestimate demand, or did consumers simply get priced out? So we've seen a downturn. Do we feel it's due to an overestimation of what the demand was going to be, or is it just it's gotten too expensive, it's gotten too much, people just kind of priced out of it right now? They spent too much during COVID when they couldn't go out, and now they don't want to spend the money on it anymore.
so
I'm gonna go.
To me,
go ahead, Jake.
so to me, this is a little bit of like a chicken and the egg question. I think it could go kind of either way. That people either, or there wasn't enough supply, and that drove prices up and priced people out. But like, I feel like if that were the case, now that supply is, vastly outpacing demand, I feel like we would see the market like stabilize a bit more than it is. So I don't know. This one's actually, I think, pretty hard to pin down.
I'm gonna go with the easy answer and say both are true. I mean, it's this is a really hard industry to forecast because you see sales going up and up and up every year. So what are you going to do? You're going to make more and more and more. And then all of a sudden when the sales halt or fall a little bit, you're stuck with this surplus of inventory that's not ready yet, but it's going to be ready in a year or two. So I think definitely a combination of both. And I think the consumers, obviously just went wild over the last couple of years and bought, and then realized that they have too much and are just slowing down a little bit on that end. So I still, I say this all the time, bourbon's not going anywhere. People are still going to be drinking, sharing bourbon, but most people just have enough bottles where they don't need to keep going hog wild and stockpiling anymore.
That's not applicable to Jake R.
I said most people, not all people.
Yeah, I know. We just
I
want to
don't
make
know
sure.
what would have given anyone the idea that I have a stockpile, but
I am going to say I think consumers are starting to get priced out more recently, and that's why we're seeing some prices fall, or some of the higher cost brands not moving as quickly as they did, and that's why you're seeing rebate tags on bottles where you can get rebates from the distillery and things like that. I think that the overestimation started about 4 years ago for distilleries overestimating demand. I mean, we've seen so many distilleries buy out other distilleries or double, triple production, things like that. I think they got caught up in the hype a little bit, thinking this was just going to continue, not paying attention to a lot of history that shows that there's ebbs and flows in all spirits in terms of sales up and down throughout their history. So I think they started to overestimate demand at right around the same time people started to get priced out a little bit.
And it was also right when COVID hit, which one, made people who aren't like super into bourbon just drink a lot and buy a lot of liquor. And
we needed a lot of liquor to get through COVID, to be
gave
fair.
people like us and probably our listeners a hobby to do at home. And we were, saving money, not going out to restaurants and bars. So people built little bourbon collections at their home. So that definitely had a role in that as well. But how can you blame these distilleries when there was, we couldn't get Woodford Reserve for 2 months. We couldn't get Maker's Mark for a month. Like, they literally could not keep up. The major distilleries could not keep up with bottling their product and getting it out to stores. So what are you going to do in a situation like that? You're going to invest in upgrades to make more and be able to package more and get more of your product out there. And then all of a sudden, once you finally catch up a little bit, demand halts, and now you're stuck with this huge surplus.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate what you did there, Jake. And that is, you made alcoholism sound more like a hobby and less like a problem. And I appreciate you.
Oh, it's totally a hobby. It's totally
okay. No, I can get behind that. I appreciate that.
If you drink out of a Glencairn, if you're like mixing it with Coke, then it could be debatable that it's alcoholism. But we're fancy here. We're not alcoholics.
What if
it's called the tasting? It's classy.
What if I had to sneak it at work, put it in a Nestle Pure Leaf bottle because it's the same color?
That's questionable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's still a hobby to me.
I think the only other thing I want to tack on here is like Jake said, I think everything kind of peaked in 2020 or around 2020, but like
No, a couple of years after.
2022 is
or
basically when
2022,
the peaks
whatever.
hit.
But like the bourbon market had been like blowing up for like 5 to 10 years even
15
before
to
that,
20.
right? So
Yeah, it was in
like
the early 2000s is when it started to.
yeah, I think would like it's probably still a little too close, but like it wouldn't surprise me if the like I guess millennial generation and maybe the back end of Gen X are like really the first generation to like really embrace whiskey since like the before the baby boomers. Like um so like I don't think any of the distilleries were really, well, maybe some, but most of them were not prepared for an entire generation or a large part of a generation to like suddenly start accepting their product. That was kind of pushed aside for 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think the big expansions, at all the big distilleries, I think are trying to keep up with the fact that like there's now a bunch of people that are probably going to be whiskey drinkers for life. And that just I think that's probably just needed just to sustain people like us, who are not going to abandon bourbon and rye and American whiskey, for the long haul.
Hobbyists.
Yeah.
Hobbyists. American
Yeah.
hobbyists. We're the
We
true
won't-
heroes.
We won't move on to something else. That we might, dabble with a few other categories, but we won't entirely move on. This will be something that will stay. We just probably won't keep buying the way most people were buying in 2020 to 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't seen my habits change. I'm basically a bottle off the shelf, a bottle back on the shelf.
Yeah, but you're
yeah.
a cheapskate, so.
I am. That I am. Speaking of cheap states, are we finally seeing the end to everyday bourbon that costs $80 to $120 for a bottle? We've talked about some of these brands that have been on the market for a while that are in that $100 price range. We've seen some people start to cut prices back a little bit. Are we seeing the end of the normal $100 bottle as an everyday drinker?
Totally,
Jake,
as an everyday drinker.
Yeah, Jake probably has data about this.
I mean, totally as an everyday drinker. I still think that price point is not going anywhere. I think if anything, consumers, like most of our listeners, who aren't going to be buying as many bottles, are probably thinking, okay, I can do this, premium bottle to have in my collection and go to on special occasions, but it's definitely not going to be something that you're buying and drinking every single day.
Right.
People are going to find out or hone in on that $30 to $50 bottle that they really like, that they can keep going to for that daily pour. But I still think there's going to be a market for premium and super premium bourbons, because if you're not going to buy as many bottles, you're still probably going to spend money on bottles, and you're going to look for that super premium bottle, but more than likely you're going to want to try it first, and you're not just going to blindly jump on it and purchase it.
So I think I agree with that. I think the only exception to that may be the bottles that are like periodic
Limited
releases.
That's
like
that's a different story.
You're like Elijah Craig barrel proof, so we're like people are going to buy each release and like drink through it until the next one comes out, or like the barrel craft batches, that kind of stuff that used to be harder to find, that's slowly getting more and more available, but are still in that like 80-ish plus price range. I think those are still going to be pretty like strong in the daily drinker category.
Yeah. So I myself am a daily hobbyist. Jake, you gave me a great word to use. Like, this is all I'm using from right now. It sounds so much more sophisticated. I don't. I mean, I have $100 bottles on the shelf. Um, I'll still continue to have them, but I've honestly the majority of stuff I've been drinking anymore is $30 to $50 again. I think if anything, we've probably seen, and actually there's data behind this too, of the daily drinkers that people used to be drinking were your bottom shelf wild turkeys, things like that. Um, I think people have moved. I think a lot of people that have gotten into whiskey have moved off of the cheap bottom label daily drinkers or bottom shelf daily drinkers and have gone into more of the $30 to $50 range. And I think a lot of people are happy in there. We've talked about it. There's so much really good whiskey for $50. Like, if you have to be drinking a daily drinker that's in the $100 price range to make yourself feel good about yourself, then do it. But just know
There's
that
really
you're,
good bottles under $30.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. The price point's not going to go anywhere. I do think we'll see a reduction of brands that are in that range, just because I don't think a lot of brands that are in that range are going to make it. There are some good ones that I still think will be able to sell and sell well at that $100 to $120 or $80 to $120 range. I mean, for a long time, and I'm a victim of this. Jake are, I know you are as well. Sometimes when we got caught up in the hype, we were just buying the expensive bottles just because there's hype around it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and it's like, oh, I got to have this bottle because it looks cool on the shelf. And now I'm like, it tastes like shit. Now I got
Especially
100.
like right after we started getting into it.
Oh yeah, early
Oh my
podcast.
god, I've never seen insert
Yeah.
random bottle, and then like a couple months later it was like everywhere. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
that was a lot was you.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was you mostly. We've all done it, but you did that a lot.
Well, it was for sure me, but then Roberto egging me on too.
It's because we wanted you to waste your money. Like, have you not noticed we don't like you as a friend? No, it's we've all been caught up in that hype, but yeah, there will be. I think we'll see less bottles on the shelf going forward at that price range, just because I think we're going to lose some brands.
Well, I think the the scarcity thing like plays into that a lot too. Like once everything is just out there, like no one's gonna care as much to go buy like the entire Weller lineup and whatever, because like no one's gonna be that impressed by most of them in a few years.
I still need a Weller single barrel to complete my collection.
Do they even do that anymore?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do they? Okay.
You probably could have got one this year if you wanted one with your Gold Eagle end of year status.
Yeah, he
Well,
could have.
Jake does full proof, not.
Well, you still
No, I think we had some single barrel on there. It wasn't a pick.
Oh, you did?
But
No, okay.
yeah. But like, if you have a store pick Weller, like it's technically Weller single barrel.
Yeah.
single barrel
Right.
foolproof. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're not being creative with marketing. Speaking of scarcity, with shelves being so full of whiskey, stuff may not be moving as fast as what it was anymore. Does scarcity marketing still work? Luckily, if you listen to us and don't know much about us, you know that Gold Eagle Jake has a liquor store called Gold Eagle. If you follow them on Instagram, you will know that every once in a while on a Saturday, he puts a post out with the Buffalo Trace bottles and other bottles that have come in for the week that he puts out on the shelf. Jake, how are those Saturdays going? Are they still going as strong as they were? Does stuff still move as fast? Are you starting to see certain bottles not move as fast when you guys have that? Do you think that so much stuff on the shelves now and so much selection is slowing down the scarcity marketing?
I think Buffalo Trace is
different.
an anomaly. And like
Yeah.
if you watch our Saturday drops, most of the time it's like your standard Buffalo Trace stuff, like your E.H. Taylor small batch, Weller Reserve, Blanton's, which
Eagle.
still Blanton's, Eagle Rare. Blanton sells out first every single time, and it's kind of hard to tell because the bottles are lasting a lot longer, but we're also receiving more and more quantities. So what used to be 1 to 2 cases of each is now like 2 to 5 cases of each anytime we do a drop. So like you can show up a couple hours later now and there's still stuff on the table that's available. But there's a lot more quantity. And I definitely think, to answer the question, yes, but it's fading away. Like people are okay with missing out on a bottle where 2 or 3 years ago, we would get angry phone calls and people that wouldn't be able to move on with their life because they missed out on a bottle of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and they have every bottle in their collection of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, and they missed this one. And now look, that all that stuff is on the shelf, and they're still amazing bottles, but you just don't see them disappear right when we get it in because people know that they can go out and find a bottle if they want a bottle. You don't need to just jump on it and purchase it.
Now, on terms of the stuff that you guys put out, is that Buffalo Trace that's having more quantity, or do you see stuff that's commonly out there like Willet Purple Tops and Bookers and stuff coming in as larger batches as well too?
Yeah, that stuff is definitely larger batches. I mean, Willet Purple Top is like a new thing that they're doing, the 4-year small batch bourbon. The single barrels, we're still not really getting much of those. But Booker's, I know has been in the plans for a while. I remember going to Jim Beam 3-4 years ago and them telling us like, the batches are small right now only because they're trying to build up their inventory and build up the age statement a little bit more on Booker's. So now we're at that point where they've patiently waited. And I think the batches that are coming out on Booker's, for example, are better than ever. Just because they're on the shelf and they're larger doesn't mean they're not as good. They just were patient and let the whiskey age and are doing it on a bigger scale now. But I think that the fear factor of missing out on most of these bottles is kind of gone because a lot of them are on the shelf for at least a month or two when the release happens, with the exception of the standard Buffalo Trace stuff, which we will never understand because it's the same thing every time. And, it's meh. It is what it is.
Well, I think, there's a decent portion of that is like the education level of like your average whiskey drinker is much higher than it was, even a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, there's a certain like contingent that are like, gotta have the tube, gotta have the horse, gotta have, the whatever,
Gotta
like,
have all the letters. Gotta catch them all.
No matter what, they're going to buy that bottle of Blanton's or Taylor or Weller, or even if it's not Buffalo Trace, there's like certain stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good that like even with the volume increases, that you're seeing from the distributors, that it's selling a little bit slower. I think that's a good indicator that like people aren't still just like blindly, going after that same stuff.
Yeah. I still don't know for sure if Buffalo Trace does the scarcity on purpose or if it's just trying to make sure they have the stuff that tastes the way they want it to before it goes out.
There's absolutely no reason that it can't be on the shelf like today.
I don't know, man. People are just hounds for
the amount of
Buffalo
money
Trace stuff.
The amount of money they'd be leaving on the table if they were holding stuff back is pretty ridiculous.
anytime it
Well,
hits
no,
a shelf
I mean,
anywhere, it gets bought up.
So like, yeah, they would like destroy their like business model if they just like flooded the market. But I mean, like they
But
have.
I think it would still. I think it will still sell better than the other stuff that used to be hard to find. That's now available.
You're probably right, but like, when I
Probably.
say there's no reason. I mean, they have enough in storage to put their everything out on the shelf. At least they're like
no, I don't
core
think
lineup.
so.
I disagree with you on that as well too.
Yeah, I disagree. I think they want their stuff to be on the shelf. I mean, anywhere it goes, it's gone. I mean, regular Buffalo Trace still sells out like the day that we get it, and we do a limit one. Like it's crazy, but I do think I do agree that at some point they will get on the shelf. It'll still sell. It won't be what it is now, of course, because when people can find it, they're not going to want it as much. But you also look at what Buffalo Trace is doing with creating these new labels. Anytime, look at what they did with the Weller line. They went from just having Special Reserve 107 and 12 year to now having CYPB, single barrel, full proof. These are all new products within the last Millennium. Had to throw that in there. These are all new products within the last, 5 to 7 years. And they're probably going to continue. I mean, look, Traveler, is kind of a little bit of an exception because it's a blended whiskey, but they're still blending some of their own whiskey in with Canadian whiskey. So they're creating these new labels anytime they maybe feel like they have enough whiskey to get out there. And that is also keeping the scarcity going for all of these different products.
Well, so that's like the main reason why I think they're.
Well, that's the main reason why
on the stocks to be able to actually keep everything on the shelf.
Yeah, but they're not like sitting in storage of Taylor's bottled and Weller's.
They don't have
bottled.
pallets.
No.
Not
But they
putting it
have
out there.
barrels aging that they
Yeah.
could dump and make Taylor or Blanton's or.
But they
or
know,
whatever.
like, once they get on the shelf, people are gonna start realizing, like, like this $70 bottle of E.H. Taylor small batch tastes the same as this $20 bottle of Old Grandad Bonded, and which one am I gonna buy for my daily drinker? The $20 bottle. So they're smart. They're creating new labels anytime they feel like they maybe are getting there. But I definitely don't think they're at a point where they're like, oh, I have so much bourbon, we don't know what to do with it. Let's just hold it back so that people keep buying it. We're going to come to a point. I mean, with their expansion that Buffalo Trace did, 7-8 years ago, we're going to come to a point very soon where they theoretically should have 4 to 6 times the amount of whiskey that they've ever had. So it will be interesting to see what they do when that happens.
Just more and more new labels.
Barrel aged Wheatley vodka.
It's going to be Eagle Rare 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
You know what they could do? They could take a page out of Woodford's book and they could go double Eagle Rare.
Oh, they've done it.
Have they done double Eagle Rare?
Oh yeah.
No.
They could do they can make Eagle toppers and have you collect the E, the A, the G, the L, and the E.
You could make more if you had a different feather for every bottle.
Yes, different
You gotta
colors.
collect all the feathers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Woodford, though, I've said this before, but Woodford pisses me off a lot because there's no reason, absolutely no reason, why Woodford can't have a regular, like, batch or barrel proof offering. Like, every day on the shelf.
Yeah, I agree.
Instead, they charge
Totally
you, like,
agree.
$300 for a batch proof that they release once a year.
At the distillery only where they make the most profit.
They've come down a little bit. They're now, I mean, they were like maybe
They're like
180. Now they're
120-ish.
160.
Or,
The rye is 140. But like your regular bottle is $35 on the shelf. Why can't you
And it
come out
sucks.
with an $80, $90 barrel strength small batch?
Yeah.
Jake, you talked about Traveler being a blended whiskey, and it made me realize you guys posted something of a blended whiskey on your Instagram earlier this week that I've always wanted to try.
Is it the Four Walls?
How's Four Walls taste?
Oh, I haven't tried it.
Oh,
You like Always Sunny?
I'm a big Always Sunny fan.
So buy
I'm
one.
I'm not around.
Oh, we'll
I'm gonna
hold
go
it
ship
forever.
to Utah. What if I never make it back? What if I die
At some
before I
point
make it
you
back
will.
to Illinois?
I'll take
And
it.
I'll give it
It's
to
fine.
Jake.
Yeah. All right. No, I just want to try it. I'm an Always Sunny guy. But yeah. So, all right. No, we'll do this as the last question. Are consumers becoming more brand loyal or more experimental? I haven't gone first yet.
Yeah, you go first.
This is interesting. I think it depends of what type of hobbyist you are. I think if you've been a collector for a while, you're definitely more on the experimental side at this point. Where I feel if you're still newer into the whiskey game, you're probably more brand loyal because you're probably still searching for all the Buffalo Trace and all the bigger name things that are out there. I myself, well, especially being newer out in Utah, like I've bought bottles of all the local Utah distilleries, the few that there are. Trying out some of those. But I say that, but then I bought Remus and Yellowstone for the holidays.
You're a loyalist.
I am, and I'm an old curmudgeon. I don't experiment that much. Give me a good, solid bourbon I know is going to taste
Yeah, you're
good because I
definitely
know
a
I'm going to
loyalist.
have one every night. Like, just give me a
Give
good
him that
taste.
10-year MGP.
I don't
That's
need
all he
10 year. I
wants.
like younger MGP. I like 4 or 5 year MGP. That's where I usually my MGP ranges.
What's Remus this year?
Remus, it's a blend. I mean, it's always a blend. A lot of older stuff. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
wasn't a
that's
big.
true.
I wasn't a big fan of that. Like compared to my James Pepper barrel
Oh,
proof,
yeah,
1776 barrel proof. That was like 2 to 3 year old MGP,
Yeah.
and their stuff blended together. Like, the younger MGP to me, I get a lot of green apple in, and I absolutely love that. That was I did a younger barrel pick when I was at Whiskey Acres just because I love the green apple in a little bit younger whiskey. Yeah, no, I'm pretty brand loyal. I mean, I'm not specific to one brand like I am like my electronics and things, but yeah, I'm definitely going to experiment less with newer stuff and stick to what I know I enjoy since I have one every night.
It's funny because I am the exact opposite, or my answer to this question is the exact opposite of yours. I think a lot of, well, particularly using my experience, I was extremely experimental to begin with to try and find what I liked. Now that I've found like a lot of the things that, or the like few things that I really, really like, I've been sticking to those.
Yeah, as we can tell by your office and your downstairs bar in your closet.
But I mean, we could pull my like Gold Eagle sales history and see that like the scope probably started out like super wide and it's gotten much narrower, I think.
We will next we
Over
will do a
time.
5-part episode going through your Gold Eagle purchase history.
A tier list of his purchases.
all the prices need to be redacted.
Oh my goodness.
And we can do that.
The tier list of his purchases, we would need such a large F tier. Holy crap.
But I do think that like there's a little bit of that, like, especially for like avid enthusiasts and collectors, there's like a rut that you can fall into like once you found like your favorites, and then you want to start poking around at more experimental things again, which I think is where barrel picks really come into the picture. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I actually think
Speaking of emptying a bottle, we have a bottle kill on the episode here.
Tater.
Another Eagle Rare 10. You didn't give Jake Tater shit the other week when he was talking about, I've had an Eagle Rare and I've really been on Buffalo Trace. Was it because it was an Eagle Rare or a Gold Eagle barrel pick? Is that why it wasn't a Tater? And because I'm just drinking straight, normal, no special stickler
Just the regular
Eagle Rare that I can't.
Just the regular stuff for the poor people.
These are perfect bottles for outside
candles?
tiki torches.
Tiki torches.
Because they're etched on the front, so the sticker doesn't fall off. So that's what this will be.
But to get back to the question, I do think, Jake, your buying habits is like what I would answer, and that's I think how most consumers are. Like you definitely start off very curious and try to explore and see what's out there. And I don't think that curiosity ever goes away. It just maybe gets honed in a little bit because, people are still looking for something new to try, whether it's a new distillery or a new release that looks interesting from a distillery they've had. But I've definitely noticed people shifting to being loyalists to certain distilleries. Penelope is a big example of people. They just have created raving fans who want to have one of every bottle they put out. So I think people are always still going to be curious, always still going to try new brands. But I think they are honing in on the brands that haven't led them wrong, finding that they like those brands and sticking to future releases from the brands that they already like.
Mm-hmm.
Peerless is another example just like that. Like there's a lot of people that just love Peerless and everything they come out with, they're buying. And there's certainly other people that don't care for Peerless and Penelope. But those are just two examples of brands that people have seemed to gravitate towards if you're a fan.
I don't want Havana or Rio. Just throw that out there. Not interested in those bottles.
I never understood Rio. I mean, it's genius marketing, like cool label, cool name. Let's do something tropical, colorful, and then two things that were really hot 4 years ago: Amberana and Honey Finish. Mm-hmm. But I never understood it because you can just go buy any Amberana bottle and then put a little drop of honey in it, and you got yourself a Rio. And people just went nuts over this like super flavored whiskey.
Mm-hmm. All right. Great finish. Great way to end. Like loving the enthusiasm. No, so that's like I said, we just kind of wanted to see what ChatGPT thought we should talk about for an episode because we got a couple interesting episodes upcoming here in the next month. So leave us your comments. Jake R will tell you how to do that in a minute. But before we let him speak again, and we know no one likes to hear him speak, Jake, where can people try out and find a bunch of the whiskeys we talked about? Try and find a better daily drinker that doesn't cost $120. Stuff that's not scarcity marketing that they have to worry about getting. Where can they find good whiskey to buy?
Yeah, if you're local, definitely want to come check out our bar. We have probably over 200, 250 whiskeys open. And with the buying habits now, it's no better time to have a tasting bar like that where you can see what you really like before committing to a bottle, expand your palate a little bit. If you're not local, you can go to our website, goldeaglewine.com, see our whole inventory, shop online for shipping. But yeah, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine and Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits to see what we have going on, including our daily deliveries.
What's crazy is like it wasn't even that long ago where the tasting bar just had stuff on the shelves. And now the bar top is basically gone because it's all just whiskey you can taste.
Oh yeah, we had
For a price,
We started with 8 bottles.
Mhm.
That's kind of like Jake's collection. Started with 8, now it's 800.
Kind of like everyone's collection.
Yeah.
Like it's a hobby, Dan.
It's a hobby.
It's a fun
Yeah.
hobby.
Should be the episode title, Jake, is it's a hobby. It's a hobby, not a problem. Jake, if people want to leave us comments about things they want to hear us discuss about, if they have questions, if they want to hear previous episodes about things we talked about, where can people do that at?
Yeah, you can listen to us on Apple, Google, or Spotify. Watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Leave comments on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
God, that was just so riveting. Thank you so much for that, Jake.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Again, like always, we'll have a couple of exciting episodes coming up here as well, too. We don't want to tip our hat too much just because sometimes things change. But we are excited about a few things we're working on in the background. So look forward to talking to you guys in future weeks. And cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers.